When we talked about the Oscars yesterday, we questioned, how many people were actually going to tune into this. Over the last several years, really going on a decade, people have fallen away from the modern day entertainment industry as they have become more and more out of touch with the normal, everyday, average person. Entertainment is secondary to pushing whatever message they want to push, and they do not care. They will continue to do it. And as a result, people have tuned out from the Oscars. Well, last night, we finally got the numbers for the ratings for Sunday's Oscars presentation. And shocker, the third worst rated Oscars in history, the third lowest Oscars in the nearly century that they've been doing this presentation. This is the third lowest ratings they've seen. TV ratings, Oscars draws 18 million viewers, down from 2024. Oscars hit 18.1 million viewers, down 7% from last year. And we should point out that this is the first time it was live streamed on a streaming site on Hulu. And that counts. That 18.1 million number counts the amount of people that were watching it on Hulu. So in actuality, without that live stream, who knows how low these numbers would have been on ABC for this product. And that was even a disaster. They had to come out and apologize for how poorly the Hulu app was performing. This app, right? This streaming service that Disney paid billions and billions and billions of dollars for, just so they could combine it with their own failing streaming service to make it look like it's profitable, couldn't handle it. And there was a lot of people that were having problems with it. But yes, overall, just under 18.1 million people tuned into ABC's telecast of the 97th Academy Awards on Sunday, marking a 7% decrease from the year before. That total is a combination of Nielsen's measurement of linear viewers on ABC plus live streams on Hulu. Indicates the ceremony's first viewership drop in 4 years. Now, if we do look at kind of the history of what we've seen, coming off the pandemic, was when it was at its lowest, 10 million viewers, the lowest in history by a big margin. The second one jumped up just at the end because of the Will Smith slap. That kind of got them back, and they kind of capitalized on that for the next one, the next following Oscars. But this one is a decrease from the year prior and the third lowest in history. Obviously, 18 million sounds like a lot and certainly is a lot, but not when you compare it to the numbers that they've had before.
Wow.
Even back in 2000, 46 million people tuning in. 2014, 43 million people tuning in. And even as you did have this decrease, you still had around 30 million people watching. Not so much anymore. People have fallen away. And I mean, maybe it's because they can't really relate to anything that's winning Best Picture nowadays. Like a movie about a hooker who hooks up with a young Russian oligarch's son and stands on the stage praising sex workers. You have Amelia Perez about a transgender Mexican cartel boss featuring Carla Sofia Gascon, this beast of a man who's pretending to be a woman. Maybe a lot of what they're celebrating is very disconnected from anything that normal, everyday, average people think should be celebrated.
Well, the thing is, I wonder if they're going to blame the glitch on Hulu for the problems. That's probably what they'll pass the blame again. And so that'll be one thing. And then I wonder if they're going to sit around and be like, we didn't really get too political. Maybe we should go back to that so people would tune in. The truth of the matter is, most of the Hollywood people, they have found out that their influence doesn't matter anymore. And people have opened their eyes to the fact that Hollywood celebrities don't matter. Because the past 4 years, they have constantly told us how to think, how to talk, who to vote for, what to do, what's right, what's wrong, who's good, who's bad, and all that stuff. And every point that they make is retarded. Let's be honest. And they don't have any influence anymore. And these viewerships, these ratings are more evidence that people could care less what the Hollywood actor has to say, their political stance, and what they're trying to shove. Just go out there and make a good film. Let me have a few laughs. Let me enjoy my Twizzlers. Give me some action and then leave me alone. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I don't care where your political stance is because I probably won't agree with it. And people have walked away from these horrific people that are trying to change the world in such a negative light. In my humble yet honest opinion, that's what's happening. There's no more influence in Hollywood anymore. Shocking to think that they ever had it, but I'm sure they did at some time. I'm sure there are people out there that are waiting to hear, from Britney Spears on how to vote in the national election. I'm sure there's a few people left, or Taylor Swift, or whoever it is. So that's my thought. Like people are just sick of these people. The lockdowns proved it. When you had all these actors coming out saying, deal with it. I got to be locked down in my mansion with tennis courts and basketball courts and a home gym and a petting zoo and a swimming pool. So if I got to do it, you got to do it too. You know what I mean? Like all that stupid stuff that went out like years ago, and now people are just like, I'm so over it. So I'm over these people. Anyway, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with the movies that are nominated, how much interest people have in seeing those. And last year you had Oppenheimer, which was a big movie and was very well received by a lot of people, and people were invested in seeing who won, who lost, things like that. Not so much this time around with a lot of the things that were pushed out there. And again, this incessant, and I'm not saying that everything that wins an award and everything has to be a big, huge blockbuster type of movie. I'm not saying that at all, right? But when you put all of the focus and attention on things that, one, people have no interest in seeing and a lot of people haven't seen, and things like Amelia Perez, who everyone that saw it thought it was absolute garbage and gets nominated for 13 awards, obviously just because there's a fucking trans person in it.
That's the whole thing, because they push that trans crap on. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. They push that stuff for years, women's sports, let the men play in it, all that garbage. I mean, not to get political on the entertainment show, but it's just they push that crap for years. Then they talk down to anyone that disagrees with them, and then they don't take responsibility for themselves. Then they're like, hey, watch our film. And it's like, no, I choose not to. And then it's like, for some reason, it's our fault. People are so sick of these people, these delusional people. And then they go cry on social media, and they're probably all on what is that, Blue Butterfly app now, just
Blue Sky,
blaming it on whatever and whoever. They're probably blaming it on Trump, that nobody wants to watch these enlightened films that will bring intelligence to the viewership. No, it's stupid. These people are stupid. These movies are dumb. What was the #1 movie last year? Was it Deadpool as far as money making?
Probably Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2, Deadpool, and neither one of them were up for anything, right?
Inside Out 2 was up for Best Animated, I believe.
Okay.
I don't think it won, but Wild Robot, of the ones that I had seen, Wild Robot was really good. I thought it should have won personally. And I think when you have things like Dune Part 2, now that's a lot of the recency bias that released back in like February or March, very early in the year. Most things that won released a little bit later for award season. But when you look at something like that, and regardless of how you might feel about how the movie ended, whatever, it had a lot of acclaim, had a decent sized box office number, and from a cinematic standpoint was beautifully shot. And it ends up only getting nominated for 5 things, wins 2 of them. Denis Villeneuve gets snubbed for Best Director. And you just have a lot of people. And you have Academy members admitting that they didn't even watch Dune Part 2. Right? So when you have people that are voting for this admitting that we don't watch all of these things, so that's annoying as shit. So,
and then you wonder how much
no
money
respect
people
for the Oscars anymore, and rightly so.
How much money people pay to get their movie nominated. You wonder if
I
that's
mean, Netflix had like a $30 million. I'm sure they regretted it after a lot of these other things happened, but they had like a $30 million press push, and sending things to voting members to remind them of this, like all this shit. They desperately wanted a lot of that critical acclaim, for sure.
I'm not sure what for. It doesn't matter anymore. Like, is it just good for your resume? I won an Oscar. you know? So
Well,
it's like, hey, hire this guy. He won an Oscar. Yeah, here's I won this. And I gave an acceptance speech that told the rest of the American population how they should think and how they should vote. You should hire me for your next job. It's just that simple.
I think
I don't get it.
Well, look, I still think that there is a lot of, I think to the normal person, the idea of this person winning or this person winning doesn't matter that much. I think in the industry, it still matters a lot. And the idea that Netflix, which started off as streaming everything and people had fucking no respect for it, basically, the idea that they're getting attention and some of their people can win these awards, that gives them a lot more credibility, I suppose, in the eyes of other people within that industry, so that you can then make it easier for actors to commit to, okay, I might be more willing to do a Netflix movie if all things are equal, because they have shown they have the ability to get me that type of acclaim. I think those are the things that go through people's minds when they're thinking about shit like this, more so than the everyday average person.
It's just patting themselves on the back and giving each other awards.
Yep.
Pretty much.
I'm just glad we got to celebrate sex workers at the Oscars. So now all of those women who claim that Harvey did something wrong,
yeah, I mean, exactly.
Sex workers. They were just exchanging those blowjobs they gave to Harvey Weinstein in order to get roles. Sex workers. They're proud. They're loud and proud.
I will give them a little bit of credit, though. I did think there was going to be a lot of Ukraine stuff, but they didn't. I think, like we said yesterday, it was just like one quick mention of it.
And it was kind of in, like, it was actually in reference to a movie.
Right.
Which, listen, Conan is not everyone's taste, right? Conan is sometimes an acquired taste, like his comedy. I used to watch Conan all the fucking time. But he did a much better job of staying apolitical on a lot of that stuff than Jimmy Kimmel did. There's no question. There's no question.